I'm Colin Baker.
My name's Fraser Hines.
Hi, I'm Daphne Ashbrook.
This is Andrew Cartmel.
Hi, this is Colin Spall.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisher-Becker.
This is Ian McNeice.
Hi, this is Travis Ritchie.
You listen to this MarkWho42’s.
Listen to MarkWho42’s Whoniverse.
If you're into Doctor Who, listen to MarkWho42’s Universe. We always have the latest Doctor Who news, reviews, and interviews. We are available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Geekcast Radio Network, and our home base, MarkWho42.net.
Mark Who 42, the meaning of life.
You're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network. Partner Spotlight. Unleash the geek in you.
Hello and welcome to Geekcast Radio. This is episode 70. This is the latest in the, I believe it's 12, no not 12, it's more like 5 or 6 syndication spotlight episodes we're doing here on Geekcast Radio. It only took us 5 years to get around to talking to all of our syndicated partners. Of course, syndication partners didn't really start up till about a year and a half or 2 years ago. My name is TFG and Mike. Joining me is Steve Megatron.
Hello.
Hello. And this time around, we jump in a spray-painted blue police box. We have MarkWho42’s Whoniverse. We have Mark Baumgarten. And I kept trying to say your name.
But you got it right.
Did.
You got
as soon as perfect. Not you, Eduardo. I kept trying to say his last name. And I listened to that clip like 5 times, the intro. I'm like, fire, whatever.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you what I tell. See, I substitute teach, so I'm gonna tell you what I tell my students. Okay, it's pronounced fryer. Think of fryer
He's a fry cook. He's a fry cook.
You shush.
Yeah.
Think about it this way. Think of Friar Tuck from Robin Hood, or if you've studied Shakespeare, Friar Lawrence from Romeo and Juliet.
Well, then why don't they spell it that way? You spell it some weird ass way. I'm sorry. Just spell it F-R-I-A-R.
Okay, the weirdest thing here right now is Mark is Porky Pig and Eduardo is Daffy Duck. Forget about joining me. I'll join you. Say hello to Friar Duck.
Friar Duck. There you go.
You're despicable.
Yes. From episode 67 to now, and this will continue on through episode 72 of Geekcast Radio, we have been talking to all of our syndication spotlight partners, all the podcasts that we syndicate on geekcastradio.com. And as I said, this time around, it's the Whoniverse's turn, and I'll be honest, about a year and a half ago, maybe, I gave each of the seasons of the current Doctor Who show one episode to impress me.
One episode to impress you.
I figured I would watch one episode of each of the Doctors to kind of get the feel. Originally, I was watching the first episode of each season, and then people gave me a few suggestions.
That's not.
I know. It's not the best thing to do, especially with that Rose episode. And then I went through and I tried it, and for me personally, I just can't get into it.
No.
It's just not my thing. When it comes to time travel, I would rather just travel through time than have to deal with time and space, and I'd rather have it done in a silver DeLorean.
Yeah, I was going to say that. You'd rather go on the DeLorean. You go the Back to the Future way instead of...
Yes. Yeah. As convoluted as the Back to the Future way is.
Oh, my God.
Well, although, actually, speaking of Silver DeLoreans, if he's going to get a chance to listen to this, hey, Dan Harris, hope you had a great birthday today.
Yeah.
Do you know if
he's got a DeLorean? That's why he brings it up. Otherwise, it made no sense.
But by the way, Mark, did you is he feeling well?
Yeah,
I know he wasn't. He was sick yesterday. Like I heard from one of the guys at the con. So hope he's feeling better.
So you did not get into Doctor Who, is what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. It's
Were there any of the Doctors that you liked? I mean, was there anything that you saw?
The funny thing is that one of the Doctors is actually one of my favorite actors that plays two villains that I love. Well, I don't love one of the movies he's in, but I love the other one. Eccleston.
Yeah.
He was Raymond Calitri in Gone in 60 Seconds.
And then, of course, he was a great character. I forgot what it was.
He would turn into Destro in G.I. Joe: Rise of Cobra.
Cobra Commando speech.
Well,
Yes.
he was also in 28 Days Later.
I don't do horror movies.
You don't do horror movies.
He was. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah,
No,
he was the hard ass.
he was very hard ass. Yeah,
But hey, you did list a couple of. I thought he made a great Destro, and I hope he comes back for G.I. Joe 3. And
Although
yeah,
I've heard that they're only bringing back The Rock.
Here's hoping. Here's hoping. Maybe we could find somebody to bug and say, "Come on, call Chris Eccleston, man. We need Destro back. We need him to get the Iron Grenadiers going."
Yeah, there you go.
He got hosed in that.
But
last
yeah, and
movie,
I love him. I love him as Raymond Calitri. I love his whole thing talking into like Nicolas Cage, going, "I can't get into your baseball. It's so freaking boring.
So bleeding boring,
boring."
And then there was a clip a couple of weeks ago. I saw this on Facebook. One of the Yankees fans fell asleep at a Yankee Red Sox game,
right.
And apparently he tried to sue ESPN and Major League Baseball for putting him on TV sleeping for defamation of character. It's like, really, seriously, this is what baseball has come to? Come on now. All right, so as far as I can tell, your first episode, the one that I can find, it says it's a reimagining or a new format or something.
Yeah.
Were you guys around before November of 2012?
We were.
Okay,
we had...
Tell us about that, because I don't want to not be accurate on how long the show has been around.
We had an 8-episode original run done in the format of characters. I played a Time Lord named MarkWho42. Trish played a character called Tori, who was supposed to be my TARDIS, the Idris of my TARDIS. So the Doctor Who fans don't know what I'm talking about. And Ed
kind of like
was some guy we just picked up. Ed was some guy we picked up, my companion, I guess. And we reviewed the first half of Series 7 in character, and we were trying out different things, and we kind of realized, you know what, it's not working. Let's do it as a straight podcast. And so at the end of episode 8, we had this plot line where, what was the character, Ed? Jasper from Marvel Comics?
What we did was we borrowed the little page from Marvel Comics, and we used the British character of Sir James Jaspers, Mad Jim. And, basically had something having to do with him. And
he warped reality, and we came out of it as ourselves in the universe talking about Doctor Who, instead of being in the universe where we were Doctor Who characters.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was basically that was our version of the New 52 reboot.
Yeah. This is our New 52, except our New 52 is better than DC's.
Except although I do have to say, Mark, I think we're better. Our New 52 is better because in this reality, Trish and I are dating. It's not like, okay, new reality. Let's have nobody dating anybody else, because comic fans don't want anybody dating.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Lois Lane and Clark together. I don't know why they got rid of that. Hopefully that masked Superman is the pre-New 52 Superman, but we don't know. Just throwing in some comic references. Your podcast listeners will probably get them.
Oh, most likely.
Yeah, most likely.
Well, hey, we do that. We do that on the podcast.
We do that all the time.
I mean,
right.
I think. Geez, we've had Bane on the podcast a couple of times.
Yeah, Bane's shown up. Yeah. If you want to hear an example of those 8 episodes, we put in. There's a bonus episode somewhere in the first 10 episodes that is a compilation of 2 short episodes with a cliffhanger that we introduced Ed in. And I put it like to let people have a chance to listen to what type of stuff we had done. So, I mean, it is out there. There is a 2-part episode put together into an hour format available on iTunes now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so when did you first get into Doctor Who? Was it the original series? Was it the new series? And what is it about this series that makes you want to do this on a weekly basis?
Okay. I started watching Doctor Who back in 1978. That long ago. Someone told me, hey, put on the local PBS channel. I turned it on, and I came in on episode 2 of Sontaran Experiment with Tom Baker, and I started watching it every night. It was on 5 days a week, and I watched it over and over and over, and then the other doctors came in when they finally brought them over. I went to conventions, saw old Doctor Who episodes. It was something that I loved, and then the show went off the air, and then the books came out, and I got the books. I followed those. I read those. And then the new series, and then the Big Finish audios, and then the new series, and it's just been. I've been going into this full force, head on. I can't stop. I can't seem to give up Doctor Who. I do the podcast. My girlfriend, when I started going out with her, she says, you have so much information on Doctor Who. You know so much about Doctor Who. There must be some way to share your knowledge with people. And that basically was one of the things that gave me the idea to do the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about
her
you,
fault.
Ed?
It's all her
blame the woman. That's...
Oh, and she's going to kill me now.
Blame the companion. It's always the way, right?
Yeah.
It's always the companion's fault. What about you, Ed? How did you get into podcasting, and what is it? How did you first get into the Doctor Who stuff and all that good stuff?
like Mark, I got into Doctor Who when PBS had it, late 70s. The difference with me is I was a youngling. And my parents.
Youngling. I was pretty much in my teens.
Yeah, well, my parents would leave me with a babysitter. The babysitter would put on PBS, so of course I'd have my Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers, and then Doctor Who would come on, and I just thought it was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen. And I didn't get a chance to follow it as much as Mark did, but I would catch episodes here and there, and then it disappeared. But then I remember when the TV movie came on, and I caught that, and then right before the new series started, a friend of mine who had always been like who never had that sort of break in being a Doctor Who fan, started when he would come over, he would bring over his VHS tapes, and so I got my I started then just. That was like the everything else you could say was the experimentation, and then this was just the going whole hog. So by the time the new series started, I was it was too late. It was too late. I had gone to that side of the force, so to speak.
and then the other people on the show, Trish, Patricia Helm, she is a newbie. She started watching it only a couple of years ago. And Christian Basil, he's been watching it for almost as long as I have. He lives up in Orlando, and he always tells his story of how when he was growing up, his parents, it's PBS, let him watch it when he was a little kid, and Doctor Who was on at like 8:30 or something, and what his parents didn't realize was that like right after Doctor Who was things like Benny Hill and Monty Python, and he's a little kid, so he got his share of fun watching.
Oh boy!
Oh yeah. And that's why we always have to sit him in the corner during the podcast, because he gets very bad.
Now you guys say this was on PBS.
Yeah.
I assume this was on prime time. This wasn't on during the day, right?
No, it was on. They were the individual PBS stations showed it. So when I watched it, it was on Monday through Friday at 6 p.m.
Okay, so but that's what I'm saying. It wasn't on like during the day during children's.
Oh no,
like
no.
Okay,
It was not. No, it wasn't children's
this
programming.
Is prime time.
There were, yeah.
Oh, okay.
There were stations that put it on at 11 o'clock at night. There were stations that put it on at 1:30 in movie format on Saturday nights. I mean, it was wherever the public television station that bought the series, had room to put it.
I think
it wasn't a network thing. It wasn't a network thing.
Yeah, to me, like I don't remember what time it came on, because I was too young. But it did feel like an afternoon thing. It felt like.
I was gonna say because you guys say it ran on PBS, and I'm like, I don't remember this showing up after Mr. Rogers.
No, well, I don't
don't
remember what was on before it, and was it Mr. Rogers on at 5:30? I don't remember.
No, they were on at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, but our station down here repeated it again in the afternoon. So I don't know. I don't know. It could have been right after Mr. Rogers, for all I can remember.
I just know that when I was at the sitter, there would be the stuff that I was supposed to be watching, but then Doctor Who would be after.
Yeah.
So if there
it was like Sesame Street was on at 9 a.m. and then at 4 p.m.
Yeah, so I don't know if Doctor Who was because this was the Miami PBS, if they ran it at 5, or if there was something between the Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers that I don't remember.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know in Tampa they had DW News and BBC World News before they got into Doctor Who. Yeah. I mean, but it was placed in all different places. But yeah, it wasn't during the children's. It wasn't during the children's show stuff.
Well, which is kind of ironic because over in the UK, Doctor Who started as a children's program.
Yeah. Well, it had a children's show budget for that.
But the thing is, the thing is, it started as a children's show, and that's also why,
was supposed to be
like in the '60s, especially the first few years, there was also kind of sort of that educational aspect.
But you know what? There was an episode where there was like a rape off camera. How was that a children's show?
I don't know.
There was the Crusade. It was there was.
I don't know.
There were some very violent scenes during the William Hartnell show.
Yeah, but then again, Mark. I mean, remember that we're talking about a British show,
right?
So
and they're lax with sex, but not with violence. Violence is a problem in England. They don't like violence.
Well, but the thing is, but also you also have to realize that this is a European perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not thinking, oh, we can't shield the kids.
Back in the '60s, Ed, I think they did, but that's
okay. All right. Well,
but we argue like this on the show all the time.
Yeah, I will say. I mean, I do one of the first episodes that I saw of the Hartnell era, which, mind you, I'll total disclosure here. I saw it like about little less than 10 years ago. Was the Aztecs.
Mm-hmm.
And this took place during, this had the Doctor traveling to the Aztec times. And the thing is that it's the only science fiction part is the fact that he traveled back in time to do it. You don't have like an alien creature pretending to be
right. They had historical episodes. They had historical episodes back then, and they died out during the Patrick Troughton stories when the people who were watching the show the ratings weren't high on historicals, but on the science fiction ones they were very high. So they started going. Yeah,
but the trick is like I said, the historical episodes were pure historical, with the only sci-fi element being that these people traveled back to do it.
Right.
Yeah. So they had in the Aztec times they were dealing with the Aztecs. With the Crusades, it was King Richard and Saladin. But you didn't have like a witch, throwing thunderbolts or something.
Which you would get now.
Yeah.
They had
the French Revolution, right?
Yeah.
They had a French Revolution episode, but it's not like they went to Notre Dame and you had gargoyles attacking people.
All right. So with the current series, how do you guys? Because I'll be honest, and I'm sorry, because I'm not a fan of the show. I don't listen to the podcast. I'm so sorry.
You're one of the only people in the world that don't listen to our podcast. I'm sorry to tell you that the Whoniverse army moves on.
Yes.
Thank you for coining that term during the award ceremony. We love Whoniverse.
We have accepted your nomenclature for the Whovian army. For that, you will be allowed to survive as the new order marches on.
Okay, Bane. Shut up.
Bane shows up on the show like crazy all the time. It's killing me.
All right. So with the new series, what is it about the? Is it just because that it's back that everybody's flocked to it, or what is it about the new series that people love it so much?
Well, okay. The show came back. It's I'd have to say Matt Smith and David Tennant. I mean, yes, we were talking about Christopher Eccleston a little before, and say you like Christopher Eccleston, but it was David Tennant, the characterization he did, his presence that really made the show surge. And then when Matt Smith came on, all the fangirls were that didn't go for David Tennant were. I mean, it just went bonkers, out of control. It's a worldwide phenomenon more than it ever has been now. And I think it's due to Matt Smith. BBC America really started advertising Doctor Who when Matt Smith started. They've been pushing, and now then Peter Capaldi. When they announced Peter Capaldi, they made a special. They had a special worldwide transmission around. The show is Doctor Who is story centric, but the characters on it have to be fleshed out. And in the old series, they had stories, but no continuity. There really wasn't much continuity. They're doing it like DVD in a box now. The DVD set watching, and I think that's brought more people into it. That it's more than just a couple of episodes story, and then another couple of episodes story. I think people get into the characters and watch it as if they're watching Arrow or something. They get engrossed, and now that there are special effects that are decent, it brings in other people. Because when I was growing up, the effects, it was like, I don't care about the effects. I just, like I said, I like the story. Now I like the effects as well as the story. I like eye candy.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Okay.
What I like is I like what Guillermo del Toro in the Pacific Rim DVDs. He coined the phrase "eye vitamins."
Eye vitamins.
Eye vitamins. Like he called the work that he was doing on that eye vitamins. So I like that. I'd say, hey, let's have, instead of more eye candy, let's have more eye vitamins. It looks good and it's good for you. Looks good and it's good for you. Best of both worlds.
Until scientists deem that it's not.
Exactly.
Until we find out it's all a Vulcan trick.
It's all in the mind of Sheldon Cooper.
Oh no!
God, yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes.
I see Spock right now. I must be dreaming.
I'm not a fan of that character. I've been watching that show since it premiered. I'm still. I'm.
Are you supposed to like that character? I'm not supposed to like him.
Some people do. Some people don't. I'm kind of like in the middle at this point after 7 years of that show. But there are several times that he has his moments. There was the multiple episodes with Nimoy. Mm-hmm. The episode with
Bob Newhart.
That. I was going to say the episode with Darth Vader, James Earl Jones. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Because Sheldon finally got his comeuppance because someone else admitted to being obsessive of something that he actually liked as well. He's like, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. James Earl Jones turns to him and looks, me too. It's like Sheldon finally got his comeuppance.
Yeah. And hey, kudos to James Earl Jones, because you could tell that he was just he was having a good time with it.
No, the character you're supposed to like on that show is the comic store owner. He's the
no, he's a little creepy.
Well, but all comic store owners a little creepy. Sorry, no offense.
No, not all of them.
Not all of them. Just some of them.
Not all of them.
I used to work at a comic book store, so I
don't know. no, he's
You're the creepy guy hiding in blue phone booths.
I don't know, man. I find Stuart, the comic store owner. I mean, I think he's less creepy, more kind of has this pathetic vibe.
Yeah, pathetic.
Well, he did until they turned him into a creep at the end of the 7th season. Have you guys seen?
I must have missed that one. What
Wait, are you talking?
Oh my god!
What did they
do you know what I'm talking about, Ed?
Wait, are you talking about Wait, are you talking about like how he's now taking care of Howard's mom?
Are you serious?
Yeah, he basically becomes like a...
Okay, I apologize to all comic book shop owners out there. I did not mean to make the comment I made before.
Well, no, Mark, here's the thing. He's not talking... Okay, when I mean taking care of, I don't mean in a bad way.
Like a nurse.
A living nurse, because she's...
Here's the thing, Mark. At the end of the 7th season, Sheldon just leaves. Leonard and Penny are engaged and they move in together.
Oh, wow.
Or they supposedly move in together.
I think they're planning. It was in the planning stages.
Right. Howard and Bernadette have to take care of his mother because I think it was the piano or something fell down the stairs and fell on her. So they have to take care of his mother now. So they're basically living at his mother's house or staying at his mother's house whenever she needs them to. And they keep going through all these people to try to find someone. None of the maid services, none of the healthcare agencies, no one will work with this woman. Mm-hmm. Somehow, we don't see it, but somehow off screen, the comic book store burns down.
Oh.
I believe Stuart does explain how it happened, but I don't remember what he actually says.
No spoilers. I'm going to have to watch it now. I'm going to have to watch it now. I will watch the season now.
So the comic book store burns down, and Howard and Bernadette are in there, and they're like, Stuart, would you like us to pay you to take care of Howard's mother? Sure. And then he develops an attachment to Mrs. Wallowitz as far as like friendship kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of actually the thing that makes it hilarious. The thing that the thing is, Mark. The thing is, what makes it hilarious is that it's he bonds with Howard's mom, but it's in kind of this weird sort of almost psychologically sadomasochistic. I mean, because Howard and Bernadette tell him.
Okay. The picture in my head is okay.
Yeah.
That's why I said psychological. Okay, that's why I said it's more of a psychological thing, because it's like they tell him it involves a lot of humiliation, and he's like, okay.
Oh my God.
He's used to that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and how is that different from my regular life?
Yeah. All right.
Let's get off Big Bang Theory quickly.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, see,
how do
Christian
you guys
ended up on this podcast anyway.
No, Christian's not here. It was your imagination.
No, in spirit.
Yes.
He does. He's always...
So how do you guys go about planning your podcasts? Do you just look for the new, say the show isn't currently airing.
Right.
Do you just look for weekly news? Do you, when the show's not airing, how do you fill the content? Do you go back and review the old series, or how does that work?
Well, one of the things that we've been doing recently for the past, I think about 10 or 11 episodes, we basically had guests on every week. We just had Jason Connery on, Sean's son, because he was in a Doctor Who episode back in 1986. So we talked to him about Robin of Sherwood in Doctor Who and his career now. We've had interviews with have you heard of Inspector Spacetime from Community?
No.
Okay,
that's
Community was
another show I wish would stay dead.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's coming back. But anyway, Inspector Spacetime was a Doctor Who. It was supposed to be a Doctor Who parody a Doctor Who show that takes place in their universe, in the Community universe, and Abed goes crazy over that. But the guy who was playing Inspector Spacetime, he and some other people developed a web series that was doing that. They had to change the name of it because NBC was having a problem with them using Inspector Spacetime. But they did that, and now they're making. They just had a Indiegogo or Kickstarter or some kind of thing to raise money, and they're making a motion picture. and Sylvester McCoy is going to be in it, and Robert Picardo from from Voyager is in it. Chase Masterson from Deep Space Nine is going to be in it. Mayim Bialik from Big Bang Theory and Blossom is going to be the voice of the time machine. And we actually had, for a couple of weeks, we had different people from the production, the actors, on the show, and they were very funny shows.
Haven't got Bialik yet, though.
We had script editor Andrew Cartmell, who was the last script editor on the classic series, come on the show. So we've been doing interviews, and we've got some coming up. We just talked to Ernie Hudson at Florida SuperCon.
You know, Mark, why don't you?
I'm not going to. I don't want to go ahead.
Yeah, let's not go too deep into some of the people that we have coming down the pipe, because I mean, we do want to give some incentive. It's like, oh, they got people. Ooh, I wonder who they got.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you. That's why you have to listen.
Yeah, you got to listen to the show. You got to try the show. The interview show is pretty cool.
But you know, you were mentioning, oh, do you do review of the old stuff? You know, we have been doing interviews recently, but the other thing we've been doing whenever the show's not on the air is also doing stuff like some, you know, retrospective episodes. You know, like for example, when like one of the actors who played the Doctor, or an actor who played like an important character on the show, like when their birthday comes up, you know, then we kind of do like a little celebratory thing. You know, we've done it for we did it for the 4th Doctor. I think we did it for the 9th Doctor.
Yeah,
we did it for a character called the Brigadier, who was like one of the Doctor's, you know, longest and most celebrated allies. We did it for one of his villains, the Master.
Yeah.
So, you know, we kind of, it's whenever the show's not on the air, we do a mix of stuff.
We also cover conventions. We cover some conventions, like we said, Florida SuperCon. We've covered
our last episode. Yeah, our last episode was sort of a pre-convention appetizer, and then, you know, and then I recorded audio during the convention, and, you know, we should be maybe having it come up in an episode or two.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then during the season, when it's on, we review the episodes. So like a couple days after we put it up. So you know, I mean, we have a lot of content that, I mean, just 50 years to pull stuff out of, you know, for the show.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. All right. Let's see here.
What's one of your favorite Doctor Who series that you've seen to this point, out of the various Doctor incarnations?
Okay. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought we dropped.
No.
Okay. Ed, go first.
Okay, so of all of Doctor Who, what is some of my favorite things?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Well, like your favorite generation of it, more or less.
Oh, okay, like my favorite...
Who's your favorite Doctor?
My favorite my favorite Doctor? Oh, that's an easy one. The 4th Doctor, Tom Baker.
Yeah, Tom Baker.
The one with the scarf.
Yeah.
The one with the scarf and the curly hair and the hat.
And the penchant for jelly babies.
Yeah. He's my favorite Doctor. He's the Doctor I started with, actually. When I was watching those PBS shows as a little kid, that was the Doctor that was on.
Yeah, I count Tom Baker as one of my favorites. I love Sylvester McCoy. I actually went on a cruise with him back in 1988.
We met him back in October.
And we met him, and you met him at the Bon Voyage party last year.
Bon Voyage party for the same cruise that you met him on all those years ago.
Yeah,
you know, different iteration. Which, by the way, nice guy, like nicest guy in the world. At that same event, there were other Doctor Who guests, and I did interview them for the podcast. I didn't do Sylvester, though, because I heard him speaking, and he had just flown in that day. So I thought, let me not bother the poor guy. You know, he just
Mike,
came
so
in.
that you know who Sylvester is, Radagast the Brown from The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, but he was the nicest guy. I mean, I was standing nearby, and this guy brought his little son to meet Sylvester, and Sylvester just was just adoring, you know, meeting this kid. You know, he's sitting there leaning over, going, "Oh,
nice pleasure to meet you. Do you know I have a little bird in my hat? I have a bird in my hat.
And he was making these bird calls, and then moving, without using his hands, moving the hat up and down on his head. It was like, did you see him? Did you see the little bird? And he's like, when I was in The Hobbit, they put the little bird under my costume, and he was pooping on my head. But he was just having a great time interacting with people, and it was awesome watching him do that. And just seeing like, hey, I love the Seventh Doctor too. He's also one of my favorites. Not as much as the Fourth, sorry Sylvester, but still a really cool Doctor, and also just really cool seeing him like interact in real life with the fans.
Now, when it comes to New Who, I have to say that David Tennant is my favorite so far, but I think Peter Capaldi will become my favorite.
Yeah. Of New Who, I would say of New Who, like of Old Who, my favorite is 4. Yeah. Of New Who, I'm gonna say I liked Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah.
I liked the Ninth Doctor. Kind of wish he had done more than one season.
Yeah, would have been good.
Yeah.
Now, explain to, well, I kind of know how this works, but anyone who is listening to this that may not know or that is not a Doctor Who fan, explain how the Doctor works. As far as, you start out at the beginning of the season, you have this one actor as a Doctor for the entire season, and then, bam, next season it's somebody totally different.
The Doctor is a Time Lord from Gallifrey.
He's an alien.
He's an alien. His people have a gift of regeneration. When they are about to die, unless they get disintegrated or decapitated, but if they die, the body, all the cells in the body change into a new version of the same alien. Who he has different, he may have different personality, but it's still the same memories, the same brain, the same time stream. So it started back in 1966, I think. 1966. William Hartnell was playing was the only Doctor they ever had, and he was getting frail, old, and sick. And the BBC, they decided they wanted to replace him. Now, people replacing characters, they try to find someone who looks like them or and act like them. They had this weird idea: let's go for someone completely different. So instead of an old grumpy old man, they got what is termed the cosmic hobo, Patrick Troughton, and they brought one of the main baddies, the big thing for Doctor Who are the Daleks. They brought the Daleks into Patrick Troughton's first episode so that people could relate to him and say, oh, okay, it's the same show. It's just, and then when Patrick left, they decided the show, let's try another one, and they did, and they started calling it Regenerations, and there have been 12 actors, if you include Capaldi, playing the role of the Doctor, not including Peter Cushing in the movies. Because they made two Doctor Who movies in the 60s as well, with Peter Cushing.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. It's
kind of, it's weird because I don't know, have either of you guys seen this very cheesy movie that came out I think in the 90s? It was called something like Captain Zoom or something.
Zoom?
It had I think it was called Captain Zoom. I forget, the main actor was somebody unknown, but it had Nichelle Nichols and it had Ron Perlman before he blew up as a supporting player in Guillermo del Toro movies. But yeah, it made fun of the old these old 50s cheesy sci-fi TV shows. Mm-hmm. Kind of that whole Buck Rogers type of thing. And they actually joked about replacing actors.
Yeah.
Because the whole plot of the movie had one of these actors getting transported to an alien planet when they thought that he was for real like an intergalactic hero. And there does come one scene where he's oh, I like playing a hero for real, but I feel sorry for my fans because how's the show going to continue without me? It cuts to a studio, and you have the character that he plays. You have the sidekick going, "Gee, Captain, your enemies won't recognize you now with your new face," and you have the character having bandages on his head, and it's getting removed, and there's the new actor.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's another movie series I love, the James Bond series. They have different actors. The in-joke now is that
he's a Time Lord.
James Bond is a Time Lord. There's some fan fiction where they're trying to put the order, and since Daniel Craig is supposed to be the young James Bond, and the new M is the same M that the same character that was
the old one was
the old Bonds. That there's a time loop involved and stuff. It's just some garbage. But at least in Doctor Who, they gave an explanation for the change of actors. In James Bond, you just had new Bond.
Yeah, and it's. I think the closest. It's. Yeah, they've never
Timothy
really...
Dalton was a Time Lord in The End of Time, a two-parter with David Tennant.
in the new series,
James
he
Bond's
did.
a Time Lord.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Timothy Dalton did show up in a one of the season enders had a two-parter which had Timothy Dalton as a Time Lord.
Yeah. So.
Interesting. So, how much Doctor Who merchandise do each of you guys have in your houses?
Okay, and it's time to do shameless plug.
Let me get.
No.
Yeah, I have my water right here. Go.
I collected since 1978. I actually have an online business on Amazon sellers. Go to amazon.com/shop/MarkWho42, and I'm selling rare Doctor Who books that 99% of them are in mint condition, unopened, perfect copies. Those are the ones that say new. The ones that are have a little wear because they're over 20, 30 years old, are listed as very good or like new. I had a lot. I've sold a lot, so I don't have much left. I also go to conventions and sell as a dealer.
Oh,
yeah. I'm going to be at Hurricane Who's A Day with the Doctor on July. I think it's 19th and 20th. We're having a little thing with Paul McGann in Orlando, Florida. Tickets are still on sale at hurricanewho.com.
Awesome. What about you, Eduardo?
Yeah, I don't. Unlike Mark, I don't have a side business selling Doctor Who merchandise, but I have a few things here and there. I have some of the Doctor Who comics. I have 3 of the novels. I have a copy of a book that we reviewed for the podcast called Outside In. I have some of the DVDs. I went to SuperCon we were at SuperCon last year doing panels, and while we were there, my girlfriend bought me a loose figure of the Fourth Doctor, which, as we speak, I'm looking at it right now. It's on top of my stereo, sitting on top of the Crimson Gem of Sidorak. So yeah. Although
there's a fan fiction story there somewhere.
Yeah, well, actually, I did post on the podcast website. I shared that to Facebook. That I did do around Christmas time. I did do a picture of my Fourth Doctor figure with this Nutcracker ornament. that it used to have like a little plastic sword that would go in its hands, but the sword got lost. So I had like a spare katana blade from one of the G.I. Joe Ninja Force figures. So I put it in the hands of the Nutcracker. So I've been, as a joke, I've been saying, Doctor Who has had Christmas specials now with the new series, and I keep saying what we need is, for the next Christmas special, we need the monster to be Ninja Nutcrackers. So yeah, I did a picture with my Fourth Doctor figure and the little Nutcracker, and it's like Ninja Nutcrackers, people.
Wow.
Yeah. See what I have to put up with stuff like this.
Oh, come on. You know that would be awesome. You know that would be awesome.
if you rename it Ninja Shellcrackers, it could be a Turtles Doctor Who reference.
That
it could be a whole crossover.
That would
as
work.
long as you know what? That would be cool as long as it is not
Michael Bay.
Produced or directed by Michael Bay. I don't want him anywhere near my Doctor Who. No.
Yeah,
there should be a petition to fire him from Hollywood, but
I'll sign it. I'll sign the petition.
It's one of those things where I'm getting to the point on that Turtles movie that's coming up that it's like, holy crap! His company is producing it. He's not
right. He's not
pulling the strings. Let Leibsman.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like every time I see a trailer, okay, fine. He's not directing it, but it feels like he has something to do with it. It feels like it's in his style.
It feels like it's in his style because every single trailer that we've seen to this point, it constantly puts his name up in the the only time I ever see whatever the hell his name is, Jonathan Leibsman, whatever his name is, the only time I ever really see it is in the fine tiny print in the end credits of the trailer.
That means something that he's not in control.
Exactly.
Bay's doing it. Bay's, he's got a figurehead. He knows, okay, they don't like me anymore. I'm gonna put someone else's name there.
Well, it's one of those things where I don't understand. It's
like Lucas and Star Wars. It's I don't know.
Yeah. Instead of putting one person's name in there, let me just put a giant mouse company's name on it.
Yeah. There you go.
With the Transformers stuff, though, one of the things I would love to see, and I honestly don't see how he can just be an executive producer on it. I want them to fire Michael Bay off the Transformers movies, and I want Steven Spielberg to step up and direct a Transformers movie.
Oh, no, Mike, when Pacific Rim came out, actually, no, I'm sorry, no. Let me change that. Okay, when the first trailer for Pacific Rim came out, I was with a friend. It was his birthday, so a bunch of us went to see The Hobbit. Mm-hmm. And they had the trailer for Pacific Rim. That was the first time I saw the trailer. I looked over to him. He's like a couple of seats down from me. I looked over to him. I was pointing to that and saying, we got to see that. And then after the movie finished, I look at him. I said, Aaron, somebody has to get Guillermo del Toro on Transformers. I mean, honestly, I love the fact we're getting a Pacific Rim sequel, but at the same time, let's get Guillermo del Toro on Transformers.
Well, I'll tell you that first trailer turned me off to Pacific Rim because I thought it was. Now this is just what I thought at the time. Mm-hmm. I still have no interest right now in seeing the film, but this is just what I thought when I first saw that first trailer. I'm like, oh hey, guess what? They made a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover because it's humans getting into robotic bodies, and I'm like, oh my god. But no, hey. Honestly, at this point, anybody but Bay could do it.
But no, you haven't seen Pacific Rim?
No.
See Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim for me cemented the fact that the difference between Guillermo del Toro and Michael Bay is Guillermo del Toro, when he does these movies, he has a sense of fun. He has a sense of play. Guillermo del Toro is this kid that you meet in the playground. Mm-hmm. Who you love to play with you love name a toy line you love other than Transformers.
Oh god.
That's a hard one.
Mask.
Okay, here's the thing. You love Mask, right? Guillermo del Toro is the kid you see on the playground, and he has in his hands a Thunderhawk toy. He's like playing with a Thunderhawk toy, so you're walking up to him going, "Hey, you like Mask?" And he goes, "Yeah, I love Mask." And then all of a sudden, the two of you hit it off, and you're just creating all this cool stuff, especially because he comes out with these cool ideas, and you're like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Michael Bay is P.T. Barnum. It's all flash, it's all flash, but no thunder. It's hollow.
At least
hollow.
It's not all lens flare.
Oh yeah, Star Trek.
No,
I know you're talking
yeah.
Star Trek here. We're talking J.J. Abrams. I got you.
He doesn't do the lens flare, but it's hollow. It's empty. It's just totally empty. He just simply what he wants is he wants you to be a sheep, a puppy, a dog. Here, look at the shiny thing. You like the shiny thing?
At least he got rid of Shia LaBeouf and whatever his name is. At least he's gone, and you brought in Wahlberg. So
Shia LaBeouf is too busy getting arrested at showings of Cabaret. Like, dude, you got busted watching Cabaret? What?
Oh man, I've only seen the first Transformer movie. I couldn't get myself in the theater to see the rest of them. I'm just not.
Don't bother watching the rest.
No, I've seen the first three, but I do have to pat myself on the back.
Well, why'd you sit through them? You hate Michael Bay. Why'd you sit through them, Ed?
Well, see, this is first of all, I have to say that I did not pay money to see any of them.
That answers my question.
Okay, a couple of them I saw because I ended up getting free movie tickets. The third one I saw off Netflix. So I am not going to give the man money. I am going to see his movies when there's like a way I can see it without looking at my wallet and crying. But the reason I do that.
Hold on a second. Did Michael Bay produce Bad Boys? Was he directing Bad Boys?
He was direct. Yeah, he was.
I actually like Bad Boys. I like that.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. He has done other films that are enjoyable.
He has done good things, but he's lost it. Kind of like James Cameron at times has lost it.
Yeah, but the thing for me again with Michael Bay, I did. If I see the fourth one, it's going to be because somebody's treating me, or again, it hits Netflix.
Yeah.
I am not going to put. I'm
curious
not
about
gonna
the
put
fourth
money
one
up,
because I like Wahlberg.
But the reason that I see the movies though is, and this one you can blame all the film classes that I took in college. All the film classes and all the literature classes and writing classes I took in college. The thing they drill into your head is that if you're going to talk about something, then you have to exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like if I'm gonna rip into Michael Bay and the way he's handled Transformers, then I have to watch the movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
afterwards, I may want to smack my head against the wall, but it's like I got to do it. It's like getting your teeth cleaned. It's like the things that you have to do that's uncomfortable, but let me get it done. Let me rip the Band-Aid off. Okay, it'll hurt, but then it'll be off. That sort of thing.
Well, here's the thing, okay? As a longtime Transformers fan, I can see not in this latest film, but in the first three films, I could see over time certain Transformers references in each of the films. And I will say this, and this is actually coming from another friend of mine, Octobotamus on YouTube. He constantly points out to me, well, if these weren't being made for the masses, the Transformers brand wouldn't be where it is today. And
right.
These movies may not be the best story-wise, but they have great action, and they fill seats, and they make the Transformers brand a bajillion zillion dollars every time one comes out.
It's that eye candy, eye vitamin thing again. The Transformers movie is all eye candy, and there's so much of it, it's overload.
Yeah. No, and then I think actually what you just said, about they've made it. It's made tons of money, and it put the brand where it is. I think Justin Bell has said that on. I think he said it on a couple episodes of Once on Joe Mind, and and there is a point to that. I mean, there is a point to that. It's really, it can just be a difficult thing to swallow. Because I mean, it got the masses into it, and it did push up the brand, but it's also sometimes the artistic side of me is like, so we had to trade the soul of the brand for the fame, and it's like, was that again, it's like blame college. Blame college and the stuff I learned.
Let me bring this back a little bit to the podcast. I wanted to, first of all, I wanted to thank everybody.
Let's kick Michael Bay. Let's kick Michael Bay to the curb, and he can go back into his study and watch the footage of Megan Fox's audition tape.
God!
It's like he says. I know he said he's lost it, but I swear to God, every time I read that, I'm like, I'm sorry, Michael, I don't believe you. He has it in a little disc hidden somewhere. He probably has like his office door and his home closed. His wife will be like, Mike, what are you doing in there? Nothing, honey, nothing. I'm reviewing footage.
Yeah. No, what I
Yeah.
wanted to say was I wanted to thank Geekcast Radio Network and all the fans out there for voting us Best Partner Podcast. I mean, that was cool. That was really great.
That'll those will be coming up again next year.
Next year, yeah. But I mean, now I can advertise the podcast saying award-winning.
Yes.
It helps. But and I love Geekcast Radio Network. It's a great. Like I was saying earlier, I think before we started, I love the site. You've got podcasts of covering all different things. I mean, where else can you get you got the pull bag. There was the Knight Rider has a podcast. Wow. Transformers, G.I. Joe, you cover all the bases in geekdom.
We try our best to, yes.
Yeah.
Steve had asked you a second ago, were you guys surprised that you won?
Yeah, you know what? I was a little surprised. I didn't know that we'd win by as much as we won by. Because I remember you guys said we beat the second place by double their votes. But it doesn't surprise me because Doctor Who is very popular now. And it just had its 50th anniversary. That might have had something to do with it. Pushing it on our Facebook page, the MarkWho42’s Whoniverse Facebook page, might have had something to do with it. And But yeah, I mean, I was surprised we'd win because I was like, "Oh, What's on Joe Mind's going to win." I was certain What's on Joe Mind was going to win.
Well, see, because I know that I know Gary, Justin, I know at least Gary and Justin are all over Facebook. They're at least on two. I'm on two Joe groups on Facebook, which I know they're a part of too. Justin has his own website. I was expecting that, that they're, they see a bunch of people every year at JoeCon and at other events like they even go. I think I don't know if they've been to Roll Call in the UK, but they've been to Roll Out Roll Call. They've been to all these things, so I just figured that their legions would team up and give them the votes. So when it turns out that our efforts paid off, I was like, wow, that's awesome. I also kind of think I'm friends with those guys, but I also kind of noticed that we actually stomped out and got our fan base excited to do it.
I don't know how much the other podcasts were.
I don't. I know. I went to What's on Joe Mind's Facebook page and I didn't see anything about these awards.
Yeah.
Well, this year.
I kind of distributed the information evenly between all of you, and then I was kind of surprised that who was lacking behind and who was ahead, and it was surprising for me, but I of course knew all the results before anybody else. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting here going, "Wow, this is odd." on quite a bit of it, I'm like, because you guys hadn't really been on the site all that long, and and all of a sudden, you guys were flocking through, which is awesome.
Yeah.
No, I know that Doctor Who is a worldwide phenomenon now, but it surprises me, like just looking at how many different Who podcasts there are out there.
There are quite a few.
There are millions.
Yeah.
The first time I ever heard about the franchise was a few years ago. Long-time website, long-time guy that I listened to, Michael David Sims of Earth-2.net.
Okay.
He had just was about to start Bigger on the Inside is his Whoniverse podcast, and it's him and his buddy Dan Tolan. One of them is a longtime fan, one of them is new to the series.
Right.
And they went through from the original series all the way up to current, talking about everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a unique approach. Get a longtime fan and get someone who is fresh to everything and see where it goes from there. But that was honestly the first time I had ever heard of the franchise.
Wow.
I'm interested a little bit. Maybe I'll try and go back and watch a little bit more of it.
Yeah.
But it didn't pull me in. It did I see, and okay, I get this way too with certain things. William Daniels showing up as a guest star on Girl Meets World.
Right.
Good old Mr. Feeney. I got emotional about that because of that character. But it just, some of these fans online that I see, some of my friends posting about after each episode, it's like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Oh my God, I do that too about other things that I like. So I'm not saying that they're not. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that they're doing this, but it's like, wow, a whole hour of television really rocked you that much. But hey, maybe I will. If I can spend 2.5 months going through all 5 seasons of Breaking Bad, I'm sure I can spend some time on Doctor Who.
Well, and there are some, there are some great episodes in there. One episode that I find people use a lot as sort of a the gateway drug to get people into Doctor Who is a third season episode called Blink.
Yeah, and that's a Dr. Light episode, actually.
Yeah, the Doctor doesn't show up as much, but it does. The Doctor doesn't show up as much, but it is an interesting episode, and it does have just the way it is. It's a great way to kind of slowly introduce people. Another episode, actually, that I would say would probably be a good idea to check out is in the season 1 of the new series. There's an episode called Dalek.
Oh yeah.
Just plain like Dalek in the singular, just one word. And are you familiar? I think
it's episode 6 of season 1.
Yeah. Are you a fan of Next Generation?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Do you remember an episode in Next Gen called I, Borg?
Yes.
Steve probably remembers it more than I do.
You remember Steve? Okay. So Steve would probably... Dalek essentially is the Doctor Who version of I, Borg. Where, like an I, Borg, Picard is confronted with the Borg for the first time since he got converted and rescued. And, it's about, you're confronting your worst nightmare, but... it was kind of unconventional because, you have a lone Borg separated from the hive and, he's not being the evil that, you've had nightmares about.
Well, this is the one with Hugh?
Yeah, the one with Hugh Borg.
Yeah.
So it's that's the thing. Dalek is sort of like that. Without getting into spoilers, the Doctor had just been through a traumatic experience and his representative, his worst enemy showed up, but it doesn't go, according to his nightmares.
Yeah.
So that's another.
It is a good starting episode,
yeah.
So would you guys? Because and Steve knows this, and our entire audience pretty much knows this. I'm one of those guys that I truly believe I have to start from I only want to start current. I don't want to go to. I don't want to go to the old series.
Then start with Rose. Go through the Eccleston. Go through the whole thing.
Okay. I was gonna say,
yeah. Start with Rose. It's only 100 episodes, that's all.
Yeah, and I would say and I would
Breaking
say
Bad,
yeah, I would say that it is possible. It is possible to do that. You can start with Rose. You don't have to go back to the old series. You can do so though. I mean, it's not if you start with the new series, it starts off enough that a new person can get in cold.
Yeah, it was meant enough for new people to be able to start with Rose. Rose was meant to be a definitive starting point for.
I just wish that episode would have gone a hell of a lot faster than what it did. I got 10 minutes into that episode, and I'm like, "Will this hurry the hell up already?"
Yeah.
They were so slow.
Yeah. Well. I liked Rose, but it was a bit slow. One thing about Rose that the trash bin that eats Mickey. I'm sorry, that was really stupid. That was silly. That was terrible.
That was a little bit of cheese.
It was cheesy. It was very cheesy. It was cheesier than the old show.
Well, I thought it was fun cheese. The trash eats when you get the little belch. The plastic Mickey.
Yeah.
Plastic Mickey going pizza.
But you know what?
Hey, it could.
When you watch that scene, you go, "Oh, it's a children's show." but then you watch the next story, The Unquiet Dead, or is it End of the World? Which one was first, End of the World or Unquiet Dead?
It was I think it was it was End of the World first.
End of the World. Yeah. End of the World was a pretty adult story, and then Unquiet Dead was definitely an adult story. So yeah, give it a go from Rose and follow through. I think you'll like it. I think it's fun. People are doing it. People who are starting with Matt Smith are going back because the easiest ones to go back to is to Rose. You know, they're catching up on all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and like I said, Trish on our podcast, the female role who she does the news and stuff, she is a newbie. She started. Her first episode was a David Tennant story, but then she didn't really start watching it until Matt Smith, and then she went back. Mm-hmm. You know, so I mean, you know, so.
And then, hey, I've actually introduced her to some classic stuff.
Yeah.
She stayed with me when we did SuperCon last year, and we saw an old adventure called Silver Nemesis.
Oh yeah,
so we saw that together, and then last year for the 50th anniversary, BBC was producing these like specials, like one each month.
BBC America, yeah.
Yeah, one each month that covered at least one of the Doctors. You know, and they were going in order. So like, for example, we're in July now, so the special would be the 7th Doctor. Yeah. And yeah, we would watch it together, you know, and watch
They watched it via Skype, folks.
Yeah,
she lives in Reno. He lives in Miami. It's a long distance thing.
Yeah, long distance. You know, 21st century relationship. You know, doing long distance, doing Skype. You know, but yeah, we would watch these episodes, classic episodes together. So yeah, it is possible. You know, it is possible, and you know, she started with Matt Smith, went back to Eccleston, and she's been dipping in her toes into the classic series.
And we talk to people at conventions, and that, you know, a lot of people start with Matt Smith and go back to Eccleston and watch it straight through. We had a panel called Whovians Anonymous, which we ran like Alcohol's Anonymous. You know, why they're addicted to Doctor Who, what's their guilty secret, and you know. And some of them were, I sat through the entire David Tennant series in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, you know,
and for the guy who, I will say this, for the guy who had to slog through Rose, let me make you feel better. You know, it's, you know, at least you didn't start with the classic series, because they used to be run like serials.
Yeah, they were
the old serials. Yeah. So like for example, for example, the one that Trish and I watched last year around the time of the con, Silver Nemesis, that lasted. Mark, Silver Nemesis was what?
3 episodes? No, it was Silver Nemesis was 3 episodes.
3 episodes, like 3 episodes.
25-minute episodes every week.
Yeah, 45. So it was 45-minute episodes. So imagine, imagine watching that. You know, having to go through that.
Yeah.
Like 3 episodes, 45
It's like
minutes
you're
each.
watching Flash Gordon in the 1930s. It leaves you hanging, and there's a lot of padding. There was a lot of padding in the old days because they were trying to fill a story
That said though, you know, there are some episodes of the classic series that you really can't like feel the padding. It's just exciting enough that you gotta.
Mm-hmm.
Genesis of the Daleks, a 6-episode story, could have been longer. Could have been longer.
Yeah. No, of course, the opposite end is the 2nd Doctor's last story. War Games was 10 episodes long,
and it could have been much shorter.
Yeah. That said though,
it was
the
good.
last.
I loved it.
It's good. Yeah. No. And the last 2 episodes were just really exciting.
Yeah. I don't want to. It introduces, because the show never really at the beginning never told you about the Gallifreyans and Time Lords and stuff, and in the last 2 episodes of the War Games, you start learning the mythos because they finally came up with it. They didn't. It was like Battlestar Galactica. They didn't plan it, but they said they had a plan. No, they didn't plan it.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to give our listeners here on Geekcast Radio a preview of MarkWho42’s Whoniverse.
Oh, wow. That sounds
and and then we'll come back and get all your information so people can actually go check you guys out. We'll be back after this.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. Are you sitting comfortably? Then we shall begin.
Welcome to MarkWho42’s Whoniverse, Doctor Who Whoniverse, that is. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and with me, as always, are...
Patricia Helm,
Eduardo M. Fryer,
And Christian Basil.
This is Andrew Cartmel.
This is Colin Sport.
Hi, I'm Daphne Ashbury.
Hello, my name's Fraser Hines. This is Ian McNeice.
This is Jason Connery.
This is Travis Ritchie.
I'm #1 New York Times bestselling author Tony Lee.
I'm Colin Baker, and you are listening to Mark Who?'s The Meaning of Life.
Last week's podcast, we've had our first picture of Capaldi filming the first episode of the 8th season.
Oh, yeah.
And he was wearing a Victorian-era nightgown. And they're stressing that this is not his new costume.
It totally is.
Yeah.
It totally is the new costume. Folks, you heard it here first on MarkWho42’s Universe. Peter Capaldi will be wearing a white gown for the entire series. He's wearing a muumuu.
I want to see that action figure, actually.
The action figures will be great. It'll come with a horse.
Hopefully they do a new commercial to go with it.
And now, if you act now, you can get a special order of Joe Grant.
Hey.
And Blue Dalek.
The Dalek and Joe Grant as an action figure, would that be an adult toy?
Now it is.
I don't think that's what we're talking about, Mark.
I'm just saying, does it come with the optional blouse?
These kids today just want to take the clothes off the Barbie doll. Put it right next to the Dalek. You will need to get a silent install just to erase the kids' memory of what they just did. There ain't nothing like a Time Lord party.
That's right.
Because a Time Lord party don't stop.
Let's do the time warp again.
No.
Bye.
No.
Good one, Mark.
Thank you. I have to have some good ones. It's my show, you know. It's gotta put a couple in there.
Fortunately, they're not in this episode, so sorry.
That's the one for this season, yeah.
There we go.
Hey, that may actually be a great episode. The Doctor versus Zombie Freddie Mercury.
Oh, I'd watch that. I'd watch that.
Freddie Mercury defeated when Captain Jack insists that they do a duet to Crazy Little Thing Called Love.
That's the musical episode. The Zombie Freddie Mercury.
Zombie Freddie Mercury.
It's a musical.
Backed up by revived versions of Lennon and George Harrison.
Get a musical called The West Side Daleks. We're the Daleks. We're gonna exterminate ya. Dun, 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 dun.
We like to live in Gallifrey. Guess who discovered Gallifrey?
This is pest control. Dun, 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 dun.
Maria.
Cybermen as the sharks. Delete.
I want to live in a Gallifrey. So for me in a Gallifrey.
I already did that.
Gallifrey.
I already did that.
I just thought I'd go with that some more.
Shag, Mary, or Cliff. All right, we're going to do the males first. Trish, the 4th Doctor, the 5th Doctor, the 10th Doctor. Shag, Mary, or Cliff. Think it over quick.
Okay. Shag the 10th, obviously. Mary the 5th, and I would have to Cliff the 4th.
Hey.
Do I have to say why?
I hope not. I hope we don't.
Good.
That's Simon says. Simon's choice. If we have to say why. Simon, do you want us to back our choices?
No, the question was, and she's given her answers, that's fine.
Okay. Alrighty. Ed, 4th, 5th, and 10th. Shag, Mary, Cliff.
Oh, God. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, Lord. See, I'm having a problem with the Cliff part, because I don't know if I want to... Cliff would be what? Throw him off a cliff?
Off a cliff, yeah.
Throw him off a cliff. Okay. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I'm gonna say. Yeah, I would say like Trish, Shag 10, Mary 4, and then Cliff 5.
All right, I'll give mine. I'd go with the Captain Jack version and Shag 10th. I would Mary 5th and Cliff 4th. Even though Fourth is my doctor, I'd cliff him because he's my doctor, and I don't want to do anything like that to him.
Oh God!
Nice save, Mark.
Simon, I have to ask this question: if it's Fifth Doctor, is it Peter Davidson today or Peter Davidson when he took the role?
No, it's when he was the doctor.
That is wicked.
No, this is Simon.
That's wicked. That's wicked.
My answer is I would marry them all.
Oh.
Aww.
Oh, that's cheating.
Because after all, they are the same one.
Oh.
True.
Oh, nice.
So if we clipped an earlier doctor, we wouldn't be able to shag or marry the rest of them. That's why I'd clip the Fourth Doctor.
Also remember, hang on, because remember, the Fourth Doctor has the scarf. So I mean, you could throw him off the cliff, but then he hurls the scarf around a branch, and there you go. He saved himself.
Yeah. Okay.
But the real question is would they marry me?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, the second half of the question, the female.
Wait a minute, Christian?
Hey, again, you skipping Christian. What is it with you and skipping Christian? God, should we have told them to stay home? Should we have told them, stay off Skype?
It's on my corner today, so.
I got it. Okay. All right.
I guess I would have to. I want to go with Simon's answer and cheat out, but I can't. So
I wasn't
guess
cheating.
No, it's true.
Were you suggesting I was cheating?
He wasn't cheating. He was using a technicality.
How dare you?
He was using a technicality.
You bring me wrong. I'm a superstar, and you call me a cheat. How dare you?
That's wrong.
I'm going to call my agent and say I've never been so insulted.
And this is why I was skipping Christian.
The show ain't over
yet.
Why
I was skipping Christian because I knew he was going to do that.
Oh, okay. So I guess I would have to shag David 10-inch.
Yep. 10-inch.
I would cliff the Fourth Doctor. I'd only marry the Fifth Doctor because he's honest. So he would be around. He wouldn't lie to me. So that's what I would do.
Anywho, now here's a piece of news. This is actually more for our listeners over across the pond in England.
And we have them. Hi, jolly good day to. I don't forget that. Go ahead.
We used to have listeners across the pond just until 2 minutes ago.
Now we do not so much. No,
it was all Mark's fault. It was all Mark's fault.
I would pay real money just to see the haunted mansion and something just approaching it, going exterminate, exterminate.
But during the Q&A with Matt Smith, someone asked, what he would think about River coming back for some adventures with the 12th Doctor. And he doesn't want her to.
Nice.
He says, I'm really possessive over Alex. I said this to Steven. I was like, listen, just don't. Just not Alex. Anyone else, but don't give Capaldi River.
Oh,
but Peter's the doctor now, so what can I do? That's what he said. And he says, I'm really proud of the fact that Alex was part of number 11's life. My wife, he said. So he's pretty possessive of her, but I can feel his pain, but I really want to see River.
He didn't have to leave the show. It was up to him. He left the show. He left the marriage.
And I really want to see River and Capaldi go at it. I really do.
I gotta say, this is a very twisted episode of Jerry Springer waiting to happen.
Actually not. MTV just called. They got a new celebrity death match, 12th and 11th going at it. To the death.
To the death. 12. That's my wife. Oh well, the same Time Lord. What's the problem with you? She's mine now. You regenerated.
Let's get ready to rumble.
They start fighting, and the lights dim, and then there's a solo spotlight, and it's the War Doctor, with his back turned. What I did in the name of peace and sanity, and I went home stag.
Gets ripped out first. That's what I want to know. This is celebrity death match. I want to know what's going to happen.
What's going to happen, as Ed said, that the War Doctor's going to be standing there with the moment, presses a button, goes, I win. And he walks out with Billy Piper. Hey.
There you go.
Get River.
He gets Alex Kingston and Billy Piper.
There you go.
He rules.
And then they drive off in the motorcycle driven by Jenna Coleman.
Does this happen a lot in the future?
MarkWho42. It's all still waiting for you.
Alright, so we are back here on Geekcast Radio, episode 70. Mark, where can the listeners find you guys online to check out the Whoniverse?
Well, we have a website called MarkWho42.net. You just put that in your URL. We're also available on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio. We have a Facebook page. Just type in MarkWho42's Whoniverse on Facebook, and you get right there. We post the podcast. We post Doctor Who news. It's a information site as well as a podcast site.
And
awesome.
and also, I mean, you could find us through. There are two Doctor Who groups on Facebook, which at least two of us, at least two of the members of the podcast frequent.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is one called We Heart Doctor Who, which that's sort of an inside joke because the Doctor and his people have two hearts. So get it? We Heart.
So it's kind of like a double rainbow.
Yeah, exactly.
Rainbow.
Yeah, so it's We Heart. So there's We Heart. I'm on there. Trish is on there. Then there is Weekend TARDIS.
Oh yeah, I have a fan club.
That's the Facebook. That's the Facebook group page for the fan club that Mark started, which meets in South Florida in an actual English pub.
Yeah.
There's an English pub in South Florida called Ye Old Falcon Pub, and that's where the club meets. I mean, what better place to meet to discuss Doctor Who and watch old episodes than in an English pub?
Let's just hope whoever runs that pub doesn't let it go because they might need a bar rescue.
Yeah.
And
we
John Taffer will change the entire design.
Yeah. No, I will say this. As I was talking to people at the convention, I was telling them about the podcast and about Weekend TARDIS. And one of the things is during the Matt Smith era, his first episode, he ends up eating fish fingers with custard. So when I mentioned the pub and I said, "Hey, you can get fish and chips," they're like, "Hey, and fish fingers and custard," and I'm like, maybe, okay, I don't know if the guy who runs the Falcon Pub would have that on the menu, but worst case, there is the fish and chips, so order that and bring your own custard. And then there you go. Just mix it in.
It would be. I would also get killed by Christian if I didn't mention the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, which is a Facebook page. It's got about 25,000 followers on this page, and it's basically people taking pictures around the world with a small police box, a TARDIS, and so it shows it traveling everywhere. And he also brings it to conventions and takes pictures of people in cosplay holding the TARDIS. So I got to mention that too.
Yeah, he actually has some great pictures from this year's con, including one that he had me take because he was busy running music for one of the events of these two little kids cosplaying as Doctor Who.
Oh, they were so cute.
It was very cute. It was something like out of having your kids take a picture at the department store. Because I'm there with my camera phone, and I'm like, "Here, look at me, come on, look at me." And the parents are behind me going, "Yeah, look at him, look at the camera." There was also this little girl in this poison ivy dress or something, and she was just adorable. She was adorable because she's holding, she had never watched Doctor Who before. She's holding the TARDIS. I'm telling her, it's a magic box that can go anywhere, and I'm like, "Where do you want to go with it?" And she goes, "I want to have tea." and I'm like, "Yes, you can take it and go have tea. Do you want to have, you can have it with the Queen. Do you want to have tea with the Queen?" She goes, "Yeah." And then I'm like, "Okay, great, but there are a lot of queens. Which queen do you want to go have tea with?" She goes, "I want the blue one." So I'm like, "Well, you know what? We can take this magic box and we'll find you a blue queen to have tea with, and we'll all have tea." She was just adorable. I mean, it's one of my favorite con memories.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. I think that's going to do it for this episode.
Cool.
It's been a blast having you guys
well,
on.
Thank you for having us on. We really appreciate it. It's been a long overdue pleasure.
Yeah, and if you ever want us back for anything, let us know. If you just want,
absolutely.
If you want just Mark back, let him know. If you just want me back, let me know.
Or if you want Trish, we can arrange that.
Yeah, we could arrange Trish. Hey,
Christian would love to do it.
Yeah, and we could,
they had a fight. Ed and Christian had to battle it out to find out who was coming on the show today.
Oh Jesus!
And Ed won out.
Yeah, I won. I won. I have to admit there was some cheating involved. The thing was no weapons, but being a Transformers fan, I used a replica of Megatron's fusion cannon, and I reenacted Transformers the movie. Is that you? Here's a hint. Actually, no. I'm sorry. It wasn't the Starscream Galvatron screen. It was the shuttle attack. Such heroic
nonsense. Yeah. Oh man, I figured you would have reenacted Heavy Metal War, where Megatron has all the Decepticon powers.
Oh God! You know what? I think maybe next time you need one of the show hosts on. I'll do that.
Now you just let them know you're going to do it.
Yeah,
they'll forget by the time this is out.
Yeah. Well, hey, right. that could be misinformation. Because hey, I'm a geek of all colors, man. I could say I'm doing Transformers Heavy Metal War, and then I'll turn around and instead
we'll have a red wedding.
It'll be. Whoa! No! No! No!
I don't even want to know.
No.
Steve, any final thoughts? Anything you want to say?
My final
not
thoughts,
on that note.
My final thoughts. It's like I remember hearing, speaking of like Doctor Who and Game of Thrones. We since they share a lot of the same actors. We do a lot of Game of Thrones jokes, and I just remember hearing that Doctor Who and Game of Thrones were up for an award. For like, was it Mark? Was it BAFTAs or was it something else?
It was.
It was something else. They were up for episodes
Critics
of
Award.
Both, the Critic Awards. The episodes of both shows were up for an award, and I just on the podcast I joked around. I said, "Hey,
the Hugos." It was the
Hugos. Okay, it was the Hugos. I just
Hugos.
joked around. I said to the Doctor Who people, if you're at the awards and Martin passes by you and starts humming "Reigns of Castamere," get out of the room. Leave the room. If someone passes by you and starts going, just be like, honey, I think I left my phone in the car. I'm gonna go check the car now.
I would just like to say if you like Doctor Who and you want to listen to a very fun podcast with references from all over geekdom as well as very intelligent conversation, but fun mostly.
I referenced Megaforce. I did a Megaforce.
Yeah, you referenced Megaforce. That's not fun. Go listen to Mark.
Megaforce is fun.
Listen to MarkWho42’s Whoniverse. It's great. You'll love it. We have listeners all around the world, and thanks to Geekcast Radio Network, we have some there too.
Awesome. All right, coming up next on the Syndication Spotlight, we are going to be talking to the hosts of the Geek Scholars Movie News. Unleash the geek in you, and we will catch you next time.
You've just listened to Geekcast Radio on the Geekcast Radio Network. There are several ways to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show. First, visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on all of our different podcasts. Second, you can rate our show and leave us feedback in iTunes. Third, follow us on Twitter at Geekcast Radio. Fourth, become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/GeekcastRadio. Call the voicemail line 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you are leaving the message for and your name. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.